everybody. Welcome to episode 20 of Spike Drop. KickedTripod here with Yiska and Volamel. We're running late. It's going to be a little bit of a short episode today. We couldn't stop talking about anime and McDonald's for...
Painfully, it's true.
For like 20 minutes trying to start the show.
I feel like that's content, though.
Oh, it most certainly is. We need our own fast food tier list. We need our own anime tier list, anime opening tier list. All the big content creators doing that. Those kind of rankings.
It was good content. Yeah,
it's true. Definitely is content, though.
I mean, good content doesn't get clicks now.
Is it fit content, though, Yiska? Is it fit to survive?
It is very fit. It is.
Jeez.
The fatter the food, the fitter the content. As the guy that's just like chugging like blue water or whatever, like out of boots, we'll tell you. No, it wasn't a reference to you. No, it's just like a dude on.
I was like, excuse you.
There's just like a dude
This is my cup
on YouTube that has like gigantic boot.
Yeah. And he
just like chugs whatever.
His whole YouTube channel is him just chugging different sodas,
like chugging Mountain Dew Crystal Meth. Two boots. It's insane.
It's wild.
You know what else is wild? This show. Thanks for being here. Spike Drop, twitter.com/Spike Drop, youtube.com/Spike Drop. Big thanks to Blue for doing our amazing intro and outro music. Let's talk about the news. Ignition series gone. We've been lost without it for the past month or so. Didn't know what to do with ourselves. And Valorant First Strike has been announced. And it's pretty cool.
That's an applause right there.
Valorant First Strike is pretty cool. Here's the highlights. First Strike is the first tournament organized by Riot Games. Winners will each earn a title of Valorant champion in their region. It starts with a merit-based qualifier in the second half of October, and then the First Strike finals will be happening early December 3rd through 6th. It's going to include NA, EU, CIS, Turkey, Asia, Oceania, Brazil, and the Middle East. Anyone who is Immortal 1 and 16 or over will be eligible to compete in the qualifier. And can I pull my one interesting quote that I found from this that I'm either reading way too much into, or it is kind of an interesting thing about how Riot is perceiving Valorant? It says, as we build towards a future where Valorant esports rival League of Legends. That was John Needham, who's the head of Riot Esports.
Do you guys... It's him and... they announced two people in that video, and one of them rang some bells from League. I remember his name, but yeah, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down with this. It is bizarre.
Waylon Rizzo was the other one.
Yeah, I think he has a history. I can't remember exactly what kind of history he has with League of Legends, but definitely has worked with Riot before on esports projects. But in terms of them rivaling League of Legends, what does that technically mean? If you're going to rival something, how closely are you going to position it? It's bizarre. It's interesting. I'm glad that they have lofty expectations. Obviously, Worlds is starting up right now, and they're in Shanghai doing all this crazy broadcast stuff. So is that the vision that they have for Valorant esports, where they're traveling the world, they're having world finals like they would be doing with First Strike? What would be different, if anything? It's kind of an interesting marriage already that you're like, oh, we're looking at League of Legends. That's the horse we're trying to beat in this race.
To me, it sounds more like just like in the scope of size of fan base. It sounds like they think that this game can be maybe not as big as League. I think that would just kind of be an irresponsible thing to put out. But let's just say in a size that is comparable to that tier 1 style esports, because it's just kind of League and everybody else, right? Like,
let's be honest. Like, there's one team there's one game in tier 1 now. That's just how it is. Like, we are having group stage matches, play-in matches that hit 1.1 million viewers in League of Legends.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
That's a major game, and keep in mind that's just Western viewership, right? So League is in its own league, no pun intended.
Yep.
So
Their own
what
League of Legends.
Valorant can try to become as big as the tier 2 now, like CS:GO, like
Do you put
Dota,
Overwatch in tier 2?
suppose.
No.
Might be a gatekeeper,
sure.
huh?
Yeah.
Like, depending on the
if
ranking, it's the
anything.
top of tier 3 or bottom of tier 2.
Yeah.
It sucks to say, but yeah, it's hard to put it up there. It depends on what metrics you're using or what you're trying to like gauge, but it's
The most general
tier 2's
ones.
yeah. I think in the most general sense, it might not even be tier 2. It might, like, Rocket League's better than Overwatch right now. Like, it's in a better position. The game's doing well. The esports are doing well
It's free to
across
play
all
now.
the board.
Yeah, it just hit more concurrent viewers than CS:GO ever had.
Concurrent players,
Plays, yeah, at once 1.3 million or something.
like Rocket League doing some big things. Definitely like accessible and whatnot. Just soccer with cars. It's fun. I've quite enjoyed the clips that I've seen from it.
Rocket League is my drunk game.
Yeah, I've seen you popping off on some Rocket League every once in a while.
Now you know when I've been drinking. It'll be like Tuesday at 11 a.m. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, John.
Like,
John.
John's on Rocket
Having
League.
a
All
day.
right, very good.
John's
Catching
having a day.
DUIs.
Gotta get ready for Shadowlands, man. It's
Mhm.
right around the corner. But yeah, so
First Strike is pretty hype. I'm excited.
pretty sick. And
Yeah.
this is kind of, we gave a lot of Ignition a pass, right? Because it's the first set.
Sure.
It's very decentralized. It's very kind of like, hey, tournament organizers, you figure it out. We'll keep rolling out the tools throughout the thing and,
Yep.
see how it goes. Whereas this is much more formalized and I think pretty cool overall. Like I generally like the format. It kind of takes you, it's a little open division-y, right? Like,
Yeah.
in that sense, but that's good. I think open division has like some real strengths as like a competitive format. It just doesn't have a platform.
Just having an open regional circuit. I think the plan was always to probably have like some sort of international finals, but obviously with COVID, that can't happen right now. Obviously they're rolling out the new observer updates, adding features there to really kind of make this the first big, I don't know if we're going to call them majors or what Riot, deems them to be, but like these big major events in Valorant, like this is their first to go at it. So it's definitely looking to be huge. I think these are going to be really impressive. I think it says something for the future when they're already kind of looking at their sibling in League of Legends. Is that an admission of intent in terms of how their vision is for the game? Is that just a flippant statement that like, hey, we want to rival the biggest esport in the world that we also happen to create? I maybe I'm reading too much into that, but it is a little kind of weird to like already go after it.
Yeah.
It's always weird because I feel like were they not, there's a chance that we might be criticizing them for the exact opposite thing.
I mean, I think you just like leave this out. I like why you don't need to say that you're rivaling anybody. You're just building your thing. Don't need to rival anything. Why are you specifically targeting the game that you already created and like have like a system that works for you?
I mean, do you think that
there's
like a cannibalization there?
Oh no.
I don't think
there's
there
any
is.
kind
So
of
I don't
like
think
crossover.
I don't think it hurts at all to
Not
say
at all.
like, we're going huge. We're going league huge. You know, because TFT, you know,
100%.
they've got esports and stuff going on. They've never once have like, you know, even
They've never said
like,
anything like that.
Yeah, we're gonna do some
That's what
tournaments.
I'm
It's
saying.
a lot of fun. This is really cool.
Yeah.
And that's just like, to me, it sends an intentional tonal message that says we're all in committed on Valorant. And
I agree.
we always have been. And I think that they do need to say that right now, especially there has been some like just some stuff like around like double op recently. I think there've been some balancing things as well. There's just some people who are a little bit like I don't want to say burned out. I think burned out is the wrong one. I think they're just less enamored with Valorant,
with the way things are going.
And again, like that's what it'll do when Ignition series slows down and all that kind of stuff, and you're just kind of grinding the same ladder and you're not having a whole lot to watch. Like I get that. And so I think this is just kind of also for those people to kind of just like re-excite them a little bit and kind of get them back into it.
Like I don't get me wrong. I don't think this is a bad thing. I'm more interested on what this means going forward. Like, yes, we can say like, hey, we're trying to rival this big thing. That's great. But what else are you trying to say, if anything? Maybe there's nothing there. Maybe we continue on with the same format. Maybe we adopt a League of Legends style kind of regional format. Who knows, right? It wouldn't be that crazy to assume that Riot Games, somebody who kind of like bit the bullet and tried to like formalize and make this like league in 2013 with the LCS, wouldn't try to do the same thing with Valorant. Is that something that they're interested in? Is this kind of like a directional arrow that this is where we're headed? We want to rival it. We also want to adopt the same format. That's why we're kind of tying the two. Maybe it's tinfoil hat, you know, Illuminati confirmed stuff, but I don't know.
I feel
think
like
it's intentional.
For better or worse, we're in the era now of real esports that are taken seriously need to have those leagues similar to LCS or Overwatch League / COD.
Yeah, the problem. Yeah, I mean, ideally we would all run. Like I would prefer if we just set the CS:GO circuit style, right? Like that's the most fun I have with esports, and it's also like you can tune into an event and it's like a coherent message over that weekend, but you also have an overarching message or like story to follow. Like, oh, this team went on a 3 tournament win tear or whatever, right? Or now we have these high points with the majors and whatnot. Like it's still pretty cool storylines, and you also get different flavors from different TOs that also like just push the envelope basically every tournament in order to stand out, right?
Does LCS have that?
No.
It's just one centralized league. It's all regionalized. It's all centralized.
I just don't think that they can as effectively monetize it. And so,
that's the
again,
problem.
Like, I'm not saying I
can.
prefer it. Like I said, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure that we live in a scenario now that any game being developed for esports means that we're coming out with a league.
Yeah, that, and it's like it's going to be franchising probably. Like that's just like
I would say later in life.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to hit the ground running with any kind of franchising. But I could see it having like a league. You know, there's an LEC division of Valorant. There's an LCS division of Valorant. There's an LJL. There's South Korea with the LCK. There's LPL. Like all of these people that are in league probably have some sort of stake in being within Riot's wheelhouse of esports. And I think they could have, I don't know, like it makes a sense to me. I feel like the sentence in this video was very like purposeful. Like, hey, we're tying ourselves to League of Legends because we're going to make this a league at some point. Once we get there, we'll let you know. But if we're rivaling League right now, why aren't we rivaling CS:GO? Like the game that's like closely inspired by, right? Like, why wouldn't you rival that? Why are you rivaling League? It feels very,
I mean, that you can read that, or you can read it as we don't want beef, right? Like,
I guess.
Or they already think that they've beat them.
Yeah,
Who?
no. CS:GO.
Valorant thinks that they've already even like not in like numbers, but like they think that they've got the better thing. They're already moving.
I mean,
past that.
sure.
Seems like a very Riot thing to me from the little I know about it. There's like a little bit of swaggerly arrogance sometimes, I think, that comes out of, you know, how successful they've been with esports.
I know. Like that, a lot needs to be done in order. Like, I agree they might be thinking that. I just think like they're so far away. It's actually nuts.
I totally agree.
Yep.
And I don't
like in terms of like
I don't even think they mean like, oh, we're better than them right now. Like our esports are better than them right now. I don't think that's that. It's just like competing with
great goals, right?
Yeah.
Big goals.
And you know, that's the other in-house goal. I think it'd be kind of remiss not to double back to your point with like the differing of structures in terms of like having leagues or just like random tournament formats. Are you at all concerned with a future where Valorant does adopt a CSGO kind of tournament format circuit and how decentralized it can be in terms of narratives and like big overarching events where it's like, okay, well, is ESL1 Cologne equivalent to a major? Is it not? When is it? When isn't it? Like, does I always kind of was interested in that dichotomy because I know ESL1 Cologne, but I don't know like always when the major's coming up. Like I'm very attached to like certain like staple CSGO events where I shouldn't be, or I should be more attached to or more like enticed by these major events that I don't necessarily always know about. Does that bother you at all?
No, I think like the descriptor of what it is doesn't really matter as long as it's a cool experience. And of course, like the major has like a different flavor to it
these aren't
because
just
there's like wealth support.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
what the majors are super important, no?
Yeah, but so is Katowice and Cologne, right?
Right. So what is there like a hierarchy of like what's an important event, what's not an important, what's like a major-esque event? Are there major-esque events? Is it only just the majors that you should be really competing for? What is like the end of season kind of championship that you're all fighting for? Is it okay to have multiple of those across the different, like early in like the LCS era in League of Legends, you had still ESL coming in doing their like mini events every once in a while, and they would have their own world championships along with Riot. And it was always kind of like a weird narrative battle between like, okay, well, you say this is like your world championship, but like it's not though. So like,
again, I think it's labeled so. Like you can independently evaluate who was there, what were the stakes, what was the intensity of the games, what was the level of play, when did it happen, were the teams all crisp or was it after a break or whatnot, right? Like I never felt very confused by it just because like something isn't a major and something is. Now, maybe the discourse about it is because people assume that the major would have the highest level of play over the year. And it's probably also coming with the most money. Even though like, I think the Intel Grand Slam, like if someone actually gets to that stage, it's probably going to be more relevant to their pocket.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't think you need a definitively decided head honcho event. It's just nice to have these different flavors and then just see how stuff is played, right? Like I don't need my narratives dictated to me. Like to me, for instance, and Valorant fans will probably not know this, but like I always thought NYXL won season 1 for me. They were the most consistent team, and they were a better team over the season than London Spitfire. Like it just felt like that's the better team.
Unarguable. Sure. Yeah. I wonder how many people, not to say that they need to or they should, or you know, is it good or bad to align with that kind of idea, but with how many different esports find success with that like head honcho-esque tournament at the very end of the year, I wonder how many endemic or maybe even outside endemic like want that Super Bowl-esque tournament, want that big final finale celebration, fireworks everywhere, you're going to Disney World, Valorant, like that type of thing.
The winners of that tournament do, the losers of it don't.
I I hate to bring it once again to EU versus NA, but you will find that that is a very real difference in how we perceive sports.
100%.
Like you guys have the Super Bowls. We have this Champions League final, but sometimes like there's legitimate questions being asked to these top players. Would you rather win a La Liga or would you rather win a Champions League?
And
a lot of people would say a Champions
La Liga
League
is like a regional thing for Spain.
It's the Spanish league, yeah.
Okay.
Or I'm not sure if that would be so divisive, but definitely like, would you rather win a Champions League or a World Cup? Like there have been very different answers because some say, well, we're playing the highest level of the game. Our teams have been created with no national limits in mind. And then the national things, like we can't really craft our nation around that. Others say, well, it's only every 4 years. And it's like, because it is a Nations Cup, like the stakes are higher or whatever, right? There are legitimate arguments. And we don't really seem that deterred by it, right? Like, these structures, like for instance, Bayern is currently on a 4 cup win. So they won the DFB Pokal, which is like the German cup, where every club from like 4th league can start participating in. Okay. Then they won the Bundesliga, which is the German national league. Okay. Then they won the Champions League, which is the best of the best. Yeah, the best of the best of the year before. So the winners and like 2, 3, 4, 4 of each league like match up. Also very much similar to a league with the amount of teams each region gets to send based on like, points. And then you have like a preseason cup that's like called the Super Cup, and they won all of those.
What a creative name!
Yeah, it's just not a great name. Yeah, it's also not that. It's the least prestigious, right? Sure. But like. Yeah, I think, okay, if you win 4 of those, that is nuts. Okay, we can all acknowledge that. If you win the Champions League, that's pretty crazy. If you win like La Liga in a so the Spanish soccer league, when it's like 4 top tier squads, when it was, for instance, the Barcelona era, like that might just be the most prestigious thing that's happening, including World Cup. So just because like there's 4 teams in Spain that legitimately could be top 5. Right. And you have to bring it over a season against them. So yeah. It's just a different mindset, I suppose.
So the big difference is that like ideally you would have like a Super Bowl-esque tournament. The problem is that because it's so pocketed across all of Europe, you can have a regional league that could be equivalent to a championship league that's final.
Yeah. Okay. So that, it's pretty interesting because domestic leagues usually, like the domestic leagues, the competition there pushes teams to become better in the Champions League. So it's very often the case that, for instance, 2 teams in the semifinals are from the same league, just because like they raise the competition. For instance, the first time Bayern won it after a long time was against Dortmund in the final. Right, like, and these teams had been riling up each other over the years, like flip-flopping Bundesliga wins. So, and that same thing happened in Barcelona with Madrid, right? Like they were like fighting against each other, like the whole Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo ordeal, right? So, like they have impact definitely on those. Sure. But it's just like I understand how, for instance, like a Super Bowl-esque situation, actually like just like it's. I dislike it because it's such a like if you ate something wrong that day, you're kind of bone.
Yeah, it's just a one.
I like the NBA more in the sense that now you got to bring it over 7 games.
Right, it's like a best.
Yeah, I like the NHL. I like the NHL route.
Yeah.
I think having. Like, I guess my big question to you is, do you think that could be replicated? Do you think like having these big, like structural tournaments and or leagues in an esport could be done right now effectively? Because I would argue that they probably can't. There's not enough support that the developer can give to be able to do that. So the next best thing, and we've proven it can work for a number of viewers, whether it be Asia, Korea, NA, South America, people are really attached to these like leagues that end in that celebratory final head honcho Super Bowl-esque tournament. At the very end, fireworks are blown off. You win $1 million+ you get this crazy trophy, you get these skins. It's a party. Everybody tunes in, even though you might not have watched a lick of League of Legends, a lick of TI, right? A lick of Dota.
I watched a little bit of League of Legends this week for the first time.
Exactly. And it's the same thing with the Super Bowl. I don't watch football all season, like American football all season. I'll watch a little bit of the Super Bowl when it's on, just because it's like a cultural thing.
Yeah, you do.
You just gotta watch the game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so you want to be at the water cooler, be able to talk with the people they were looking at, right?
I just don't know if we can replicate, and I agree. I think like the better system is the EU football system. I think that is really, really good. I just don't think anybody has the kind of moxie and the money to be able to build that. Esports won't be around long enough to build that, or that esports title rather won't be around enough to build that. At least not yet. Maybe next generation. I just don't think we can do it.
Question if the demographic that we serve actually have the flavor or the taste for that type of entertainment, right? I think here's the good thing about the League of Legends thing, right? So unfortunately, it's sort of interrupted by these playoff patches, but otherwise, like over like a split, these teams develop like a different flavor, like very much similar to how we had it in Overwatch and how we have that in Valorant as well, right? Like in Valorant, like we're discussing, is the European meta the best, or is the North American meta the best? And
these different
like pockets. We have big fluctuations. Like I remember, for instance, for a while where Mixwell was pretty much the only one playing Jet in the world. And it's just like with tens, right? Like it's just like, okay, yeah. I mean, now
we're
it's
starting to get that a little bit more now. But if this were to kind of regionalize, where you're not really seeing a ton of international competition year by year by year, but it ends in international competition, you're breeding that kind of like, well, you know, that China's playing a lot of Killjoy and like a lot of this new here agent that does this X, Y, and Z. And Korea's, they're all about their utility and they're the masterminds of controlling the map. And you can build those narratives. Those narratives kind of just get thrown to you because it's all just pockets around the world. And then they get to meet once a year. To your point, I think we're starting to see that a little bit with, you know, the separation between Breach and Phoenix, right? Like NA seems to just be on Phoenix. Breach is like a staple and has been. And now that he has 3 flashes as well, it looks like everybody's playing Breach.
Right.
I think that's only going to continue, example, especially with 50 to 60, you know, agents coming in the future at the end of this game. We're going to see those kind of picks. We're going to see, you know, different styles and what other kind of, you know, obviously we've talked in some shows previously about picks and bans and whatnot. That has its own kind of meta game strategy to it. So it seems to kind of follow this flow of a League of Legends-esque tournament structure, at least like on the outset, like on the horizon. You can look at it and be like, yeah, this would make a lot of sense if they wanted to do this. And because they're already kind of making that tie, like, hey, we're going to rival League of Legends, guys. Don't you worry. This early, I feel like it's a little bit intentious. Like they're pointing to it and saying like, hey, if you like this, you should probably check out our game.
That's the thing. Like, it's basically like Worlds is not that different from the thought experiment. Yo, dude, like a Grizzly would absolutely smack a Silverback around. Because like, if you think about what different metas are, they're basically like local optima in a biological sense, where it's like the apex predators from these specific regions emerge and then go to these big finals, play each other, and then decide like outside their ecosystem what actually like, then again, like the patch definitely decides if the you know, like the great white gets to fight in water or in
on land.
Yeah, on land, right? Like that's unfortunately also the case. But otherwise, like it's just cool to see these ideas sort of like, and these beasts just ram into each other and see who's doing it, right? And in some sense, like sometimes it's just like this, I don't know, like this little like really toxic frog, for instance, like that year when that Turkish team popped off with Annie, with Liquid, where it's just like, Okay, dude. I suppose
was it Annie or Poppy? I feel like I remember it being Poppy.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, I'm
like
not
they
sure.
played Poppy and Evi. I think it was like super massive.
Yeah, I don't know about
I don't know.
specifics.
I don't remember. That might be a Turkish team.
Yeah,
Apologies, Turkey.
Sometimes you don't know who wins until people fight each other, right? And that's why this entire discussion in Valorant's like, oh, you RNA, like
best in the West. Let's go, Team Liquid leapfrogging by making an event. Hey,
yeah, I mean that thing.
You might not even be the second best in Europe, Team Liquid. I don't know, bro.
They're actually
maybe
not.
They're definitely not.
Maybe like
I think
we haven't seen
maybe
enough.
four. Maybe four actually. Yeah, Bonk might be third. Yeah,
maybe.
So
maybe.
Like, I mean, and again, if someone said third, like I wouldn't like be like, well, actually, honestly, I think we need to see a little bit more of Team Liquid too. And this is also like if they do well this weekend, this is kind of like, okay, because they have improved. I think every time we've seen Team Liquid.
For sure.
So,
I think so.
It's not that they can't be, but even if they win, like let's say they just manage to win against G2,
they'd be the first team to do it.
They would be the first team to do it. Second, but that I don't think that makes them all of a sudden the best.
No.
Yeah, you gotta beat G2 for
you gotta do some repeats of this. Yeah. This can't just be a flash in the pan.
Maintain and sustain.
Yeah. This is not a game that you can just, unless it's just like utter domination. Maybe there's an argument.
But even then, I know for a fact I would come back to you guys and be like, we have to throw these results out if it was blown out, right? Like if just because G2 would never do it, right? Like G2 would, there could be no way that G2 could come out, get absolutely dominated, and it look at anything more than something so wrong with G2. It's an outlier that we can't even put in the data.
Right.
Until they
even their relocation at the moment, right? Would be like,
are they?
Yeah, they're currently in Berlin. That's why you see all these selfies, like ask me anything type of weird photos.
How far away are you from Berlin?
650 kilometers, I think.
Like, like 2-3 football fields?
So like an hour drive, maybe?
No, 650 kilometers is like 400 miles.
Yeah, it's like a 7-8 hour drive.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. 650.
So, okay.
But in terms, do you want to kind of get to the G2 show match with TL?
Oh, I'm so good.
You want to move to that?
Sure.
Because I've got questions with TL. So, I feel like,
can I just give the deets really quick for people who don't even know what it is? So G2 versus Team Liquid was announced this week. It's called the Best in the West show match. It's a best of 3 series to see who is the best in the West, but it's only between those two teams. It's going to be starting at Sunday at 6 p.m. CEST or 9 a.m. Pacific. All right, let's go.
So obviously G2, definite favorites here, right?
They are the best in the West. That's
easily.
Europe, I guess.
I mean, I'd kind of argue that they probably at least. I don't see much of a competition. I'd still like to see Sentinels in terms of like Europe versus NA. I'd like to see Sentinel style kind of matchup to G2s and see those two kind of metas clash. But looking at TL and their improvement, and I think there is a measurable amount of data to say that they have improved. I wonder how far that can go. Now they're back on the Reyna. Now they're having Scream kind of play this hyper carry-esque style. Is that conducive of seeing them continue to like grow? Do they have a limiter placed on them because they always seem to kind of want to go back? They'll stray away from like this loose and aggressive style and venture into something a little bit more tactical, and then they go back when it doesn't work. And they don't seem to have like a guaranteed opper, or not opper, but entry fragger. They don't have a ton of set strats that I think NA is leaps and bounds ahead of in terms of the EU meta. This would be
like
a
NA
good test for them.
Bounds better than EU players in Overwatch.
Well, that's not true, but I'm interested to see with TL. I think this would be a good test for them to say we can rival G2. This is, here's why. Server performance, they come out. They're odds on they're going to lose. But how strong of a performance do they put in? What kind of style do they show? I'm interested to see. TL is a very bizarre team to me because of their past. Obviously, taking the Fish 1, 2, 3 core, plugging it in, taking a legend of Counter-Strike like Scream, trying to make this work. And I mean, it's tough to say that it hasn't worked in terms of all the teams, in terms of like the peers that they have beaten. They're a good team, but they're not as good as they should be. And we've been saying that for a little bit now. So can they reach past this? They seem to have been improving in the last couple months. Can they go a little bit farther, or are they just hamstrung by their own kind of building process, by their building blocks? Like, I'm not convinced otherwise, but we'll have to see. Obviously, if the first strike qualifiers are coming up,
so they have only played in 3 events. So since they were signed 8/07, this Team Liquid roster has only played an Allied Esports Odyssey, Level Clash 2, and the Blast Twitch Invitational. And 2 of those, they got 3rd place, losing to FPX, which is why I think that we would all put FPX as the solid 2nd place in.
Oh, yeah,
Europe,
for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
FPX is undoubtedly the only team that seems to have the kind of mineral to be able to rival G2 at the moment.
Yes.
And everybody else is just that next level below.
Even then, though, they were pretty close, actually. I never realized how close they were to beating FPX at Allied, 11-13.
I mean, it's a little bit ago, but
yeah.
I mean, it is, but like, still, you know, like,
yeah,
what would we be saying about Team Liquid if they, you know, they won Allied?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a
100%.
really interesting. That might be brief moments in Valorant history articles for you, or alternative Valorant history.
Alternative history.
Yeah.
I don't see it changing all that much. I think what really solidifies my opinion on FPX being the 2nd best team is their close run at the Twitch Invitational, the Blast Twitch Invitational. Taking G2 to Game 5 is not something we've really seen much of, and then rivaling them, taking map for map, you know, going tit for tat with the best team in Europe, arguably the best team in the West. That's not something we see too often. Maybe beating, you know, having TL rival FPX early, that'd be kind of fun and interesting at the time. But as of right now,
no, it'd be irresponsible.
Nobody has it.
Yep. Nobody's
got it.
Nobody's got it. Do you, dang it, I had a good question here. I had a good follow-up.
Also, shout out to Fragon, Overwatch alumni, doing good things with FPX. A lot of Overwatch coaches coming in and doing some good things. Obviously, Gunba with Immortals, Emil, Doom Bros. I mean, that's a way back, but yeah, there's a, you know, shout out to the Overwatch alum, doing it big. Pour one out for your boy Hip. Nip letting him and Fearoth go. I think that's a mistake.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. Yeah,
we'll see. But yeah,
that's a weird one.
Alum.
It is a weird one. We are actually going to be wrapping up here pretty quick, but I do just kind of want to back on the first strike thing. Can we just there's one strong indicator, I think, of just kind of where we're going with Valorant esports, and that's from that esports charts article that I linked in the show notes. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it, but basically, you look at that, you throw those graphs on those numbers on a timeline, and you see pretty much just steady growth.
Yep.
Steady growth. And we had 2 tournaments that averaged over 100,000 peak viewers. Just pretty
this
great.
is year 1.
Year 1.
Even that.
The PAX Arena Invitational and Pop Flash both did mid to high 70Ks, so it's not like there was that far off. And I believe that Pop Flash, PAX, Blast, and FaZe were the last like 4 out of like the last 5 or 6 tournaments. So like the interest is growing, the investment is there, the something is going right there, which is, I think, like a really positive thing.
Yep.
And we're even getting better observer tools and round reset tools.
It's only
and other
getting better.
things that are, fun. Like
I'd like the only criticism that I've had so far is how quickly the content is coming out. And by how quickly, I mean how slowly. I think they have everything is pointing in a very solid trajectory. I think this is like great first year for Riot and Valorant. I think this is like as ideal as you could paint it, right? If I had to critique, if I had to say, hey, we could do this a little bit better.
And you're Joe, so you have to critique.
I have to. I mean, we always can do better, right? We need to kind of continue to improve. I'd like for the interest of the game to continuously see like an injection. I think the community needs new maps. I think they need new heroes. Yes, we're always asking for more, but I think this game is going to slip off if that doesn't ramp up a little bit. I think if you are going to do this kind of like big overarching structural league style esport formatting, I think you need to keep the interest of this game really, really high at all times. The second it kind of dips, the second we have like no Ignition series events, that's when I start to get some bumps on the road.
Ignition, I totally agree. I don't think that it's necessarily. I think we need more maps.
True.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's a pacing problem. That's just 3 maps is too.
We don't have that many.
It's just
4
there's just
maps,
not enough yet. 4 maps.
Yeah,
It's just not like really enough to feel that diversity yet.
I agree.
Once we get like 6 or 7, honestly, like I'll probably be fine with 2 a year.
Yes.
But like until we get to like 6 or 7, right now I'm just like, oh, Ascent, Haven, or Bind. Ascent, Haven, or Bind. Ascent, Haven, or Bind. And then nobody talks about Split or even wants to acknowledge it.
Nobody really wants to acknowledge Split.
And so like I think that that's a big thing that kind of does make it feel stale. I think agents overall have felt fine. I'm ready for a new one, and I anticipate we're probably going to be getting one in the next
I think they've already started to tease it.
week to 2 weeks, honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it too far out in terms of the new agent. If they keep that cycle, I think that'd be good. And I do kind of double back and say that I think it might just be like a structural thing right now because we don't have that many maps. So it kind of feels very samey, week by week when you come on, you play your daily 3 games and it's a Haven 3 times.
Which one of the 12 times was that they played Ascent? Did I remember
it
that?
It just kind of keeps blending together.
Yeah. It's just a giant blender.
And again, everything is positive. Everything is green. The only kind of yellow tick that I would give them is that kind of stale feeling. If we can improve that, I think this is full mast ahead. I think, Valorant is on track to becoming a rival to being a tier 1 esport, especially if they want to adopt this League of Legends style format. It's just that area, just that section that I'm like, okay, if we can improve this
timing,
I think you've got a banger.
Content timing is tough. Too soon, not soon
100%.
enough. Yep.
I agree. This is not something that I will talk with any kind of expertise on, but I think that should be highlighted at the very least.
Yeah, I think that like the alternatives or like either accelerating maps, and I'm not sure if that's possible. It might be, maybe not.
That's probably tough. Yeah.
Or launching later, and I disagree with that being the better option because I feel like this timing was just like bang on. We're using like a time when we're probably not going to have LAN events immediately anyway to level the playing field by having like the same kind of event that even tier 1 esports are having, right? Like, so.
But all this is exciting. Like,
yeah.
Does anybody have any kind of differing opinions there? Like that you have a good Riot Games has a great thing going for them right now with Valorant. Is it the same thing as CSGO? No. There's some similar elements that make you interested that might kind of bridge that gap for some CS, viewers to kind of come in. But this is one of those, this is doing it right. This is exciting. This is something you can see in 5-6 years if they do it right.
Yeah.
And so far, Riot has a positive track record in terms of esports. So I kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. This is exciting.
Real talk. Like in that scene, I have the feeling that the people that are in charge are very like endemically well versed and also wicked smart.
Yep.
And like that's and adaptive and receptive. That's all you need. Like that's the winning formula. Like it almost doesn't. As long as the game is then good, it's just going to rocket, right? Like, and that's not a given in esports. So, very good.
Yep. So I think we are going to cut this one a little bit short today, just because it's been a crazy end to the week, and I'm crabby because I didn't get a graphics card. Oh, wrong one. Why is this thing not?
I got a PS5, guys.
I need the.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I need the crickets to go away. There they go. Coming up this weekend, we've got, I think, 2 pretty cool events. On top of the ePulse Royal SEA Cup, which has been kind of interesting. Have you guys been watching that at all?
Nope. Not a chance.
All I can tell you, and the only thing that I've been kind of keeping my eye on, is Vision Strikers.
Yeah, I've heard Sideshow talk quite a bit about them on Twitter, and I've seen him put out a video. I've still to watch it, but glad to see Korean Valorant starting to step in. I hear good things.
Vision Strikers, I think if I did it 39-5 map differential, and haven't lost the match yet.
It's interesting.
So we'll have to
amped to catch it up. Yeah.
So that's going on right now, and they're still kind of continuing through that. But also tomorrow we have the Nerd Street Gamers September monthly, and this is going to be our first look at the Andbox roster. It also includes a lot of really strong, I think, tier 2 talent here in NA. You've got Spot Up, who I believe won the last one. You've got Second Wind, who's Second Wind. They've got Sugar Free.
Yeah. Boostio, okay.
Luminosity, yeah, China Wind.
Some moves.
There's like I think Stellar and Thief are on Luminosity, not that Stellar. And then
Venerated. Okay. Hey Proto.
Yeah,
hey, I know that name. I was hyped on him going back to I don't remember the team, but regardless. Definitely a name that I'm kind of keeping an eye out for. There's some really, like, I think there definitely is, like, 4 or 5 teams in NA where you've got, whatever, Sentinels and Cloud9 and, like, who, oh my God. Your tier 1 teams.
Sentinels, TSM, Cloud9, Gen.G, NV, Immortals, right? Or, like, kind of like this 5, 6 that are kind of there. And then you've got a lot of these other teams that are up there trying to win, Rise, Dignitas, and they're going to be playing tomorrow. So if you want to kind of see a little bit more of those teams in action, definitely
be ahead of the curve. Think there's going to be some roster spots opening up. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge on some of these top teams. So if you want to get ahead, maybe pick a new favorite. Check these guys out. Maybe they'll be around here for a little longer. So yeah, stay tuned.
Big thanks to everybody who hung out today. If you are hanging out right now, we are going to be doing a game night here as soon as we finish playing. So I'll leave the stream up. We'll load up some Among Us because the Yiska won't let us play anything different. And
True.
It's all he plays. And so we'll play some Among Us, have some fun, and grab some drinks, start the weekend off right. Discord.me/Yiska out if you want to join that. Otherwise, please do subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/SpikeDrop. If you like this show and want to support it right here, twitch.tv/KickedTripod. You can leave a sub. It is still September, so you get a discount on your subs. And the other thing is just shout outs for a week where people can find you. Yiska, sup?
Like it's Worlds time, so I'll be covering Worlds also tomorrow. Right, like little digestible things. Like I know the NA viewers are probably like super out of, or like it's in the middle of the night, right? Like if you want to catch some Worlds footage, and we have viewing recommendations. I mean, if you're wondering which games to pick up on, like check out GG Recon.
Sweet. Joe, what about you, man? Shout outs to Luke. Where can people find you?
On the socials everywhere. You know where to find me. You got Overwatch content coming in. I'm yelling at Nip, giving them a not so verbal finger wagging in terms of their roster rotation and how directionless they seem at the moment for Valorant. And then, yeah, might check out a little bit of the world's play-ins. I hear the Japanese teams seem to be doing okay. Seems like the Western teams might be inting in scrims. So got to check that out. Might be some upsets this year.
Ooh, scrim
These aren't even just scrim bucks. On the broadcast, they're talking like 0-25 type stuff. And I'm like,
huh?
I'm not one for scrim bucks, but that's kind of damning if you ask me.
Sure.
But outside of that, just normal esports viewing. Maybe I'll catch up on some Korean Valorant. Who knows? We'll see.
Sweet. As for me, you can find me everywhere at KickedTripod. We do have some pretty fun conversations going on in my Discord, discord.me/KickedTripod. Talking a lot more tech, gaming, mechanical keyboards. I post a lot of pictures of my dog there, and then my soon-to-be cat. Hopefully getting this weekend. We're meeting. We have a FaceTime to meet the kitty in an hour and 45 minutes. Professor Plum, I believe, is his name. And it's going to be a ton of fun. So I had a little cat and then a big old Choji, and I'm going to make an Instagram account and then get sponsored by a dog food company and never have to buy dog food again. That's the goal. That's all I want. That's all I want. When I say I want to be an influencer when I grow up, I literally just mean I don't want to have to pay for dog food anymore. Big thanks to everybody. We'll talk to you in a little bit. Stay here if you want to hang out and watch the games. Otherwise, join the Discord if you want to play them. See you next Friday. Bye.